Meanwhile, in some European countries, over-tourism is creating significant challenges. Tensions are on the rise as cities struggle to balance welcoming tourists and making money, while maintaining a good quality of life for locals. So how are these cities managing the economic impacts of increased tourism? Daniel Padwick has the story.
Summer is nearly here, and tourists from around the world are packing their bags and boarding flights to destinations across Europe. But some residents are unhappy, and anger is growing as they rally against the surge in excessive tourist numbers. In Spain's Canary Islands, tourism is a major economic driver. It's responsible for 35% of the island's GDP and employs 40% of the local population. But that comes with problems.
We Canarians are fed up with being treated as second and third class citizens. We're tired of the overcrowding, institutional mistreatment, low wages, our heritage being destroyed, the lack of available housing, and our land being bought by foreigners.
Locals are feeling the pressure as the rise in short-term rentals like Airbnb has led to a housing shortage and pushed rents up. They're also opposed to the construction of new hotels and beach resorts. They're demanding a halt to all new tourism development projects.
We have the territory oversaturated with constructions and other constructions that are being totally destroyed, with no use within the tourism industry, and what we are doing is speculating about the land, leaving the natural areas totally unprotected.
But tourism remains a backbone for Europe's economy. Venice became the world's first city to introduce a payment system for tourists in an effort to thin the crowds that throng the canals and narrow walkways of the lagoon city. Visitors who do not live, work or study in Venice will have to start paying an entrance fee to the historic centre of around $5.
We need to find a balance, a new balance between the tourist and the resident. We need to safeguard the spaces of the resident, of course, and we need to discourage the arriving on day trippers in some particular days. So the access fee system and the reservation system is just a new tool to better manage the tourism in Venice.
But the decision has been met with both disapproval and dismay among locals. Residents criticise authorities for making Venice feel like a theme park and are demanding to know how the revenue generated from the entry charge will be spent.
They should explain where all this income, these funds will go, because if they should fix the thousands and thousands of abandoned houses that we have in the city, it could be a positive thing. But it won't be like this, and residents will continue to leave the city.
Venice may not be the only European city to resort to such measures in a bid to manage tourist numbers. Last week, Amsterdam banned new hotel construction and limited tourist stays to curb over-tourism. The government also restricted river cruises to maintain the city's livability for both locals and visitors.
If it is bringing a vibe to the city that people don't like, I think that's the people of the city's prerogative to not want to have that kind of tourism in their town.
Experts are watching these pilot programs closely. It remains to be seen if these measures will help or harm the economy. Meanwhile, tourism-related challenges continue across Europe. The balance between welcoming visitors and preserving local life is more critical than ever. Daniel Padwick, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on this now with Claudio Milano, who's a professor at the University of Barcelona. Good to have you with us, Professor. Can we start with the situation in Venice? Because there's been a lot of outcry over its €5 fee for day trippers, but not only from tourists, but from locals as well. Do you think charging a fee for tourists to enter Venice, or indeed any other city experiencing over-tourism, is the right approach?
Well, actually, this kind of measure is not the first time that we have seen in tourist cities. You know, we have seen also other example of public spaces and public park that have been closed and privatized. The problem with those kind of measure and the message that we are sending, that is a thematic park. So we are privatizing a public space for a tourism-oriented use. So this could be a kind of dangerous, I would say, for the message we are giving to the civil society and also for tourists. And also because most of the time, those kind of measures, for example, also the tourist tax, legitimize the tourism growth and the tourism concentration of power and capital. So on one hand, I can understand that could be problematic. And this is not a structural change of the Venice tourism model. So that could be one of the main reasons which we have seen also some complaint of the Venice civil society a couple of years ago when they decided to put a gate to entry in the city center. Because the message that we are giving is that you are entering in a thematic park, and has not been successful in other contexts. We have seen, for example, the park wall, or now the debate that we are having in Sevilla with Plaza de España, and of course also in Venice a couple of years ago with the gates to get into the city center.
Okay, Professor Claudio Milano, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Money Talks.
Thank you so much.